Dedrick Williams, one of the 3 defendants convicted for the murder of X, is filing an appeal. In the petition, it points to X's beef with Drake as proof that he could be an alternate suspect. This is an act of desperation. Dedrick Williams is tracked to the crime scene on camera, stalking X, getting into the car that ends up being the car that kills X, DNA linked to ski masks in the crime, videos of him suddenly flexing large amounts of cash that they stole from X, receipts of him buying clothes the next day after killing X. Phone data shows he was connected Bluetooth to the car for the window they were driving in. He was the getaway driver of the murder of X, right? His lawyer was insufferable during this trial, like actually cringe as pointing at anyone that's not his client, because clearly Drake has no connection to this trial whatsoever. Please watch the full video before you comment something stupid. Desperate as absolute dude, like so desperate. Hit subscribe. Here we go, boys.
Now, as I mentioned, Williams is appealing this decision, and a big focus of this is on Drake. It's also other issues that they're bringing up, so I want to get into it right now. And for that, I want to bring on Williams' defense attorney, Mauricio Padilla. Thank you so much for coming on, Mauricio. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for coming on right afterwards. So I wanted to talk about this with you, and we're going to get into more specifics.
This guy was insufferable during the trial. I watched every day of this trial. There's videos on my channel. I watched every day. This lawyer sucked. His client's caught on camera. Like, he's so it's a smokescreen. It's not real.
But overall, big picture, big theme, what are you and the rest of the defense counsel arguing here?
Well, I am not arguing it. I'm not his appellate attorney. I was the trial counsel. So I'm just referencing what Mr. Patanzo, which is his appellate attorney, has stated in the brief. So many errors that it takes a while to even break it down. One of the main errors in my opinion, in the case, which I had to sit through, argue, and live it, was the fact that in December of 2020, I filed a witness list. The state's reaction to that was to file a motion saying, we want the court to strike all of his witnesses, that's not even something that's legal or that you could do. You have to itemize who you want stricken. You just can't shotgun approach and say, I want all of his defense witnesses stricken. But the state attorney did that. In a hearing that I had to defend, myself in that motion, the court didn't grant that, but the court instructed me to file a pleading, which was the nexus in my defense witnesses and what nexus they had to my theory of defense, which I argued was inappropriate because at the end of the day, you're ordering me to give the state a blueprint of what my defense is going to be.
Well, because a lot of your defense witnesses, keep in mind, it had Ski Master, Slump God, Akademiks, Drake, like people that have literally nothing to do with this murder. They weren't even probably in the state, nowhere near this murder, not even connected one bit, zero shred of evidence, and like 30 other people, other rappers, like random rappers, dude. Straight up people not involved. So there's no nexus. It makes complete sense.
But I was ordered to do it, and I did it. Prior to him being murdered, he had posted on Instagram, if anybody kills me, I'm snitching right now, it's Champagne Poppy. I'm paraphrasing, but something to that effect.
I can't believe X posting that story got blown out of proportion to this degree. X and Drake were in an internet beef. This was not a real street beef where Drake would murder X. There's zero evidence and zero connection Drake has to this murder. Literally zero. It's a conspiracy theory, is what it is.
The decedent said prior to his death, if anybody kills me, it's Champagne Poppy, which is Drake's Instagram name.
He also said this too. Look what X said about the situation.
I apologize to Drake for coming for his mom. I saw you as a business opportunity as you saw me as a business opportunity. As you extorted the cadence from that song. I'm not gonna argue. It is what it is, nigga. The cadence is exact the same. And if I'm just an emotional ass nigga, then it is what it is. We agree.
So the cadence was the exact same. So he's not wrong there. So X is apologizing, even though it's aggressive and just being X.
To disagree like men, but I apologize because talking about his mom was wrong.
60% of you aren't subscribed. Come on, hit the subscribe bell.
I needed to do that. So they could take me seriously. And he was a stepping stone like I was a stepping stone. So I apologize for disrespecting your mom. I apologize for coming at you, talking about you crazy and threatening you and shit. And I apologize. As a man to a man, I apologize. Genuinely. If I had opportunity to speak to bro, I would tell him I apologize. I would have been apologized. Before I wanted to fight his ass on 1,000. Before I wanted to fight him. Before I absolutely wanted to fight bro. Now, it's like I understand. Now I understand more because I grow day by day. People forget, bro. I'm 19 years old. I was not saying my age before.
Crazy, he was only 19 or I think he was 20 when he died. But my point is, X apologizes online, says all this, but then the masses are somehow brainwashed that Drake says, I'm gonna somehow put out a hit on X and have 4 random bums in Florida put out the worst hit of all time, dude. If this was an organized hit on X, why'd they rob him? Why'd they take the cash? Why'd they try to take his bag for literally like 5 minutes in his chain if they're getting paid under the table by Drake? If this is a hit, they're gonna pull up, shoot him, and leave. It extended the crime so much more. They were there for like a minute fighting with X for his bag. But X apologizes. Drake says, oh, I'll kill you, even after he apologizes. It doesn't make sense. Drake is a soft Canadian boy, dude.
All of my defense witnesses list, which included many rappers, because at the end of the day, the victim in this case was a rapper. He had feuds, ongoing public feuds with not only Drake, but a lot of rappers that are either signed to OVO or related to Drake in some way, including 600 Breezy, which is a Chicago-based rapper, and a rapper that's from Toronto by the name of he goes by Top 5, which is Hassan Ali.
Dude, he was so desperate in this trial. Like, if you're in the comments right now, Ben, this guy was so desperate in the trial. I watched it. It was a shit show. They were so desperate. His clients called on camera, scoping out, stalking X. They were grasping at straws. They knew he had internet beefs with people. It's the rap industry. Shit happens. This was not a street beef for someone to be killed over. I promise you.
I filed a motion to perpetuate the testimony of Livingston Allen, which goes by the name of DJ Akademiks, because DJ Akademiks was friends with X and had posted long YouTube, content regarding this beef. He actually posted YouTube saying that he was on the phone with X discussing the issue and the beef that he had with Drake, and specifically, X had either said or posted something about Drake's mom, and he had posted a picture of a Drake lookalike with semen on his face, and he wanted DJ Akademiks to post it on his own site, and he said, "I'm not going to do that." And in that conversation, DJ Akademiks says that you better be careful because even though, like, and I'm paraphrasing again, even though he's not a gangster, you may be pushing him. As a reaction to that conversation, X goes and says that he takes it out off the post off of his website or off of IG, and he says that his Instagram was hacked. I laid that out in my motion to perpetuate the testimony, which a motion to perpetuate testimony is when you have a witness that is relevant to your defense and that lives beyond the jurisdictional limits of the court, and that you feel that you're not going to be able to bring them into court. So I'm basically asking the court to allow me to go to California or wherever I have to go, depose this individual, and now with his deposition, if he doesn't show up, I could use it in my defense or in my case in chief, right? And the court basically said, I'm not going to grant your motion to perpetuate testimony, just take his depo. Let's just take it. So, okay, fine. I set a notice of hearing, went and served Drake in his castle in Beverly Hills.
Keep in mind, this guy's client right here was tracked to the crime scene along with his co-defendants. One of the guys, Robert Allen, literally snitched and everyone was like, yeah, that was him. That was him. Yep. Oh yeah, that was him too. Yep. I think it was Diedrich. His phone was like connected to Bluetooth to a car in the same time period they were driving the car. Like he was literally the driver of the car. His phone connected Bluetooth to the car. Like these guys are cooked, bro. And then they get in a car accident with the car that they just killed X in, and they're seen all running from the car. Like these guys were so cooked beyond belief. And one of them goes back after the accident to get the car because no one knew that they were involved in a murder yet. TRAYVON Newsom, one of the shooters, literally went back to the scene of the accident they got in. Like these guys were so cooked. This is all a smokescreen to confuse the jury. That's all this was.
There was this deposition that was taken of XXXTentacion's mother, Cleopatra Bernard. She testified that Onfroy had this ongoing feud with Mr. Graham, Aubrey Graham.
Obviously, she's going to testify to that. People are like, oh, X's mom said they had a beef. Yeah. What, is she going to lie and say they didn't?
Were you arguing, or his appellate attorneys arguing that Drake was a part of this killing, that he was the one who did this, or are you arguing?
Oh, and Diedrich Williams, this guy's client right here, this fat tons of videos of him flexing X's money hours after the murder.
Should have just been allowed. You should have been allowed to present evidence to suggest there were other potential leads that law enforcement really didn't look at into this case.
I understand that defense. They should be allowed to show alternate theories. But when there's actually no evidence or nexus, they should not be allowed. Like there's literally no nexus. Nothing whatsoever. It's a smokescreen. It's not real. It's a figment of their imagination.
What exactly are we suggesting? Are you suggesting that Drake had a part in it, or that just it wasn't looked into and it shows a sloppy investigation and not a fair trial?
Well, in the brief and in what I was arguing in court is the latter. A defendant has every right to defend himself and to show reasonable doubt wherever it may be, and to fully investigate and articulate to a jury an alternate shooter defense or an alternate, a defense where someone else, committed this crime. Am I going to sit here and tell you that Drake was holding a gun or Drake? But
see, the difference with this and the YSL case too is there's the footage of the murder, right? There ain't no other cars around there. His client's on camera walking into the store, right? Leaves the store and gets into a car that then 10 minutes later is shown killing people. There's no other alternate car situation like in the YSL trial that you can actually see another car pulling up next to the victim. These guys are cooked. All signs point to these four guys. I promise you.
Facts as they are stated by X's own mother is that she knew about the beef with Drake and with Migos. She knew about the violence between Migos and her son, where there was a violent episode.
Oh, wow. Someone in Migos' fucking group jumped X. Wow. That means they killed him across the country in Florida with 4 random broke bums that have no connection to them whatsoever.
She knew about 600 Breezy, which is a known admitted gang member from Chicago, going to South Florida and posting on social media saying that he's blicked up, which means that I have a gun.
People go to Miami all the time and get with guns that are, what are you talking about? Doesn't mean they killed X. They weren't in the car. The car is tracked with all of them in it. Bluetooth connected. They recognize X car at a dealership. And what do you know? If someone is at a dealership, they might have money on them, especially if they're a rapper.
She testified that the reason that she wanted additional security with him the day he died was because of this beef with Migos and everything that we're discussing. So
because he got jumped in LA, yeah. Of course, you're going to ramp up security after someone gets jumped. That's what rappers do.
Of 2023, the judge is agreeing with me. Okay, now there comes a moment and a hearing. He goes ahead and Drake hires after the judge enters a rule to show cause, basically saying a purge date. You have to appear for depo on this day, or I'm going to do a writ of bodily attachment. He then goes and hires Brad Cohen, a friend of the show.
Brad Cohen, very good lawyer. I've made videos about him with Lil Durk recently, remember?
Friend of mine as well, an excellent attorney. And Brad files several motions, motion to quash the subpoena, and he files a motion for protective order.
I think you have a cooperating witness that corroborates that Mr. Graham has nothing to do with this case. Mr. Graham is not listed in any report. Mr. Graham, I don't believe has been discussed whatsoever in this case, to my knowledge, other than rumor and innuendo.
All right, so here's the prosecutor, what she has to say about this. Remember, her job is to put people in prison, right?
Met Drake? No.
The snitch, Robert Allen, once again confirming he knows 0 people from Toronto, meaning he doesn't know Drake, bro. Like, this is an insane theory.
You're refusing to identify the person. It had nothing to do with Toronto. Answer: she doesn't have anything to do with Toronto. All of these things collectively, and I have more to point out, were done in a way to mislead the jury that these were items that were connected to the defense, which I believe he's trying to put together to say that somebody in Toronto or Drake had something to do with this without any evidence of it.
This is the prosecutor saying there's no evidence of Drake being involved. The people that investigate crimes and put people away. She doesn't care about Drake. I mean, that should tell you something, right? Like someone that investigates this, she's like, there's 0 evidence of Drake. There's no connection. The defense lawyers are just trying to muddy the waters and make it more confusing for the jury.
Had been in constant contact with Miss Robinson is because she was renting cars for his client to rob people. Were you doing that every day or every other day? It says every single day.
Every single day they were renting the same car from the lady to go rob people.
Misleading facts that this had something to do with a rapper in Toronto, people connected in Toronto, a drug dealer dad, a sexual relationship, none of which there's any evidence for, none of which is true. It's actually categorically false.
So she's saying there's no connection to anyone else, no one in Toronto, no random drug dealer dad or something. This was 4 guys trying to rob people. There's no connection. And this is the prosecutor saying that.
Why the witness is in protective custody, why the witness would be in fear of his life, making it seem as if there's some type of other reason, that there's some other nefarious actors or characters connected to this case that are responsible for that. When in reality, it's his client that's responsible for this witness to be fearful. It's his client that's responsible for this witness to be in protective custody. It's his client that's in a gang that's been threatening this witness's life.
Yeah, TRAYVON Newsom, one of the people literally on trial, during the trial, yelled something at the snitch, snitching on them, saying, hey, you work for the white people now.
Granted the motion for protective order, granted the motion to quash my subpoena, allowed Mr. Cohen to argue California law without having a California expert there, and basically kind of chastised me about, why are you bringing them into it?
Because the judge had a brain. Take your L, buddy. Your client is on camera and tracked there. What does this change? Let's say even if Drake was involved, your client is on camera, tracked there, then flashing money and searching up articles of X after the murder.
We had taken the deposition of one of X's relatives regarding this beef, and she denied it. And the court said in open court, even his relative said that it didn't exist. And I said, yeah, well, she's lying because the whole world knows about this beef. So for her to sit here and say that she didn't know about it it's on her credibility.
This scumbag was trying to bring in a relative of X for her credibility. This guy's such a scumbag, dude. Just grasping at straws, absolutely desperate.
Grants the motion for protective order, basically saying that I can now serve him again.
Okay.
And it quashes the subpoena, but the state attorney, sensing there's blood in the water, says, Judge, I'm going to renew my motion to strike all his witnesses. Okay? Or tennis, no notice. And he says, I'm not going to do that, but I am going to strike Mr. Graham. In the middle of the trial, he struck Drake from my witness list, which is completely inappropriate considering the history of the case.
Not inappropriate when you have no nexus. I would understand if there's text messages, if these guys knew each other. You know what I mean? I would understand. Oh, shit, yeah. That's weird. They knew each other? Whoa. They have text messages, phone calls? Nothing. No connection. Drake is across the world somewhere performing. These f***ers in Florida broke his shit robbing X. That's all it is.
Judge Usan was a complete gentleman to me, and it was a pleasure to try the case in front of him. I do think that he made various reversible errors, and I think from the beginning he made a lot of calls that were unconstitutional, not legal, this being one of them. I don't want to speculate as to why, but when you're dealing with someone like Drake, which he's not a celebrity, he's a super celebrity. He's like in the stratosphere of fame. So when a judge does a 180 like that, I'll let the viewers or other people figure out why they think that it happened.
This motherfucker is hinting that this judge got what, like higher ups to tell him not to touch Drake? We really think Drake's that powerful? He's from Canada. Why would that happen in Florida, in Broward County, bro?
And the defense, my understanding, wanted to call Jesse De La Cruz, who they had claimed, discovered visual evidence that Drake could have had ties to the same organization as a co-defendant in this case, Robert Allen. And I believe the brief states, Dr. Cruz's research revealed photos of Mr. Graham throwing the same gang signs as Allen.
Drake is a fake gangster. We all know this. He may have friends who are in gangs, but Drake ain't in no gang. He's gonna throw up whatever gang sign he wants. He's Drake. That's all that is. More of a smokescreen.
The brief reads, social media posts showed these same known Graham associates were seen in Onfroy's neighborhood threatening him just prior to the murder. And then they say even more revealing is this connection.
Social media posts. Yeah, okay. I'm sure they're not fabricated or just out of context, not real.
That Cruz made to Drake's song lyrics, because shortly after XXX was killed, the brief writes, Mr. Graham released a song entitled XXX with suspicious lyrics. SMS XXX, that's the only time I shot below the neck.
Shooting below the neck refers to Drake excluding his face from any nude or XXX pictures he sends to women via text message. And it's only the time he aims for anything other than a headshot. Absolutely no connection to this X murder, dude. Zero connection.
The song I'm Upset contains lyrics regarding Louis bags for body bags.
No implication. There's evidence that song was written months before X died, so how would he predict the future that X has a Louis bag on him?
Well, again, I guess the idea is he deserves a new trial, right?
Yes, yes, and those.
He deserves a new trial. Okay, let's give him another trial. Fuck it. He's on camera at the crime scene, tracked there, then flexing thousands of dollars after, searching up X. Oh, the masks that were used in the murder, right? DNA linked to Dedrick Williams and Michael Boatwright, even though Dedrick wasn't even a shooter, so he didn't have to wear the mask, but he fucking put it on like a dumbass. You don't even use the mask to shoot someone, but you put it on at some point? Are you stupid? Not to mention these guys were known for renting cars to rob people. They literally have people they rented cars from all the time, and evidence that they were doing it to rob people in these cars.
Asked them questions and brought in a hearsay statement regarding a completely separate murder investigation that he says that he found without authenticating the cell phone, and basically said that Newsom had told somebody in some dating app or something that he had buried money in his house. And so the judge buried money, he could be catching life, and a really incriminating statement. But
I forgot about that. Yeah, Newsom said he buried money and he could be facing life. He texted that to someone on a dating app, one of the shooters. Like, these guys were dude. They were so cooked. So this is an old video I never posted from like 2 years ago. I want to show you guys a clip of.
Well, if there of any connection between these four guys on trial and Drake, you got a beef. You got a beef between Drake and Tentacion. Going from there to say that Drake's a killer is a stretch, or that Drake ordered the hit is a stretch.
Yep.
So if you look at who these
because there's no evidence of Drake doing that. Zero.
guys are, there's probably absolutely no connection to Drake whatsoever.
Nope.
It is really a matter of unfortunate events, you know, to go and rob people, not necessarily XXX, right? And so it just seems so remote. The way this killing went down does not have any hallmarks of any sophistication at all. It just has, you know, it's just a robbery, basically. They went and they saw who they wanted to take something from and killed them.
In the history of all hits, when someone has a hit on someone, they don't rob them first and take a minute and a half trying to rob them before shooting them. There was like a minute and a half struggle between X and the people robbing him before they shot him and took the bag. Why would they go through the struggle of trying to rob him for 90 seconds and not just kill him if they're getting paid by Drake to kill him? Lawyer and former prosecutor Nima Ramani calls Padilla's implication of Drake a Hail Mary attempt to muddy the waters for the jury. It's a very tough case to defend. Maybe you find a juror that believes in these types of conspiracy theories. He adds that the judge had essentially no choice but to allow the theory in court. The judge is saying if this is their defense, even though there's no basis in fact, I'm not going to deny that their defense because they have a right as criminal defendants to present evidence. Sado says that if Drake actually testifies, he should do so honestly and not plead the fifth. His position should be that clearly this whole thing is nonsense. The fact that I have ever referenced something in a rap song or any kind of song has no meaning whatsoever to the reality of this killing. What are prosecutors saying about Drake? Prosecutors are not buying the Drake or Migos angle, arguing that all four suspects set out to commit robberies that day. The trio on trial are implicated in the murder by surveillance footage and cell phone data. The prosecutors don't give a fuck about Drake at all. because Drake did nothing. Based off absolutely no fact, no nexus whatsoever to Drake, and it's just another desperate Hail Mary. This isn't even a Hail Mary. This guy's cooked. Like, he's in prison for the rest of his life. He's not getting out. When I made videos about this years ago, people thought I got paid by Drake. I wish. Please. I don't even like Drake, dude. I hate Drake. What do you know? X's best friend, quite literally his best friend in life. Ryan Garcia tweets, F it, Drake killed X. Ski Master Slump God says, whoever believes this stupid shit too deep in the YouTube conspiracy rabbit hole, go outside and touch grass, my N-word. His own best friend is defending Drake. Y'all are psycho conspiracists, dude. X got killed by 4 broke guys robbing people and renting cars. Bottom line, period, end of story. Comment down below what you guys think. Hit subscribe. I love you guys. Peace out.